Grove here from Grove Construction, and I've been aware of what it is. Kind of play it alone, but also play with you guys at the same time, like good old times. Let's see if we can get myself back in the game here. Yes, yes. So I'm on one of the profiles that I have, one of the many, and I know some of it still has to be updated, my quick keys and all that stuff. So I want to talk about Construction Simulator 4, as well as the new DLC that's coming out. And I'm really excited to finally play the mobile game with some friends. I know someone's argument was like, well, why would I play the mobile game if I have the PC version? And although that may be a valid argument for some people, for me personally, I started off on the mobile game in CS 2014. And starting off on the mobile game in CS 14, oh, look at that hammer. Let's go. I naturally liked the mobile games. CS2 was the first one that I played, which introduced the Caterpillar. Of course, CS14, CS 2014 was the original, and I was lucky enough to be coming into the game around the same time that CS2 had already been teased and was well on its way to being created. All right, so we have a job to do, and typically I do this with friends or in the community. I wanted to just kind of explore the game alone. I don't really get to do this too often. So CS4 is coming out in May, and it was kind of a surprise drop for a lot of us. We didn't know that that game was coming out, and not that soon either. And it was really, really quick. Also, the um, the game introduces multiplayer, which is a first for the CS2 or Construction Simulator for mobile. Some of the brands we're going to see are probably the same brands that we already currently have. So I'm excited to know that we may be seeing like GCB. We'll be seeing Bobcat, of course. Where is this job site? Way down here. Way down in the residential area. The other cool thing too is it's coming out for Nintendo Switch right off the bat. And I know there's a few the Nintendo Switch players who are part of our community who unfortunately, played the game alone for a while, but still were highly dedicated to being members of the community and enjoying the game for what it was. Let's go ahead and change our settings real quick. Hopefully got this all set up right here. There we go. So it's coming out for Nintendo Switch right off the rip, which is great for Nintendo Switch players. I think the multiplayer for Nintendo Switch is going to be hot. People who maybe have a Nintendo Switch and didn't really get into Construction Simulator because CS2 or CS3 for the Switch didn't have multiplayer will now have a reason to get into Construction Sim. And those who don't know about Construction Sim will be coming into the game at a time when there is the availability for multiplayer right off the bat, and instantly will be able to share that experience with, say, a brother or friend who's also into construction machines, or even like a father-son or father-daughter, daughter-son, daughter-son, mother-son kind of situation. I think it's really cool that they have the opportunity to play the game together. One of the things that I always wanted when I played CS 2014 was the ability to play the game with my brothers, and the only hang up, I couldn't get them into the game because there was no multiplayer function. And even though they said, it's not something that they would actually even like to do in the first place, if there was even the option for multiplayer, I think could have at least swayed them a little bit to at least try it with me. I'll be curious to see how it runs on the mobile version, because I know Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch will be just fine. In fact, I would almost like to see this version of CS4 get ported to the Xbox and the PlayStation as well, for two good reasons. One, I don't feel that CS1, the version you're seeing right now, um, works really well on the consoles the way that we would hope that it would, and that's mainly because it's hard to optimize this game with all of the features and all the things that are in this game, like the physics, the mechanics, the way that it works. Sorry. Optimization was really tough for the developers, and then at the same time, I think we can all agree that PC is not as limited in performance as the consoles are. The consoles are pretty much stuck in the performance that they are released at. And I've played this game on both the Xbox One Legacy and the Xbox One X or S or whatever that follow-up version was, kind of like 360 Elite, the follow-up version to the Xbox One. Xbox One Legacy, the game looked good, surprisingly looked good, but had terrible frame rate drop, and there was just nothing you could do about that. It's just, as they say, that's just the way it was. On the Xbox One X or SX or whatever heck that follow-up version was, not the big square one that looks like a fan, but the one that came out after the Xbox One. It played well on that as well, but again, I would get some frame rate drops. 11 FPS is just not playable. So to see the game run pretty well on Nintendo Switch and have multiplayer function, at least two-player co-op, I could see that being ported over to the Xbox and the PlayStation, maybe even getting a little bit of a boost graphically, and working really, really well. The mobile versions for like the telephones, I'm not sure how Android phones are going to run it. I know that it does require some pretty good minimum specs to run it, and I can assume that there will be a large majority of Android users who the game doesn't work for, or the game doesn't run at the best possible capacity that it could, and we'll hear them the loudest in the social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram and anywhere and everywhere that they can, blow their trumpet. We will hear them for sure. iPhone users, I think iPhone holders, anyone who's got an Apple product for the mobile shouldn't have an issue, especially if they're running the newer models with the bigger processors. And I would suggest highly, and this is for both the Apple users and Microsoft Android users, to play the game on the tablet. I've played, like I said, I played CS 2014 on the phone. I think I played it on the iPhone 7. iPhone 7, maybe even earlier than that, iPhone 6, maybe even the 5C. I can't recall. I remember playing on a tiny screen like this big, and it was great. I loved it. Playing CS2, same thing. I actually had to upgrade my phone to play CS2, and that was no big deal. but again, tiny screen. And CS3, same thing, tiny screen. Still enjoyable, and it did the job. I mean, I put over 500 hours, I think, in all of them combined. I easily put over 1,000 hours. With that said, once I went to the tablet and played CS14 on tablet and CS2 on tablet and CS3 on tablet, it was a gigantic change. It almost felt graphically more superior, even though there wasn't anything really that was changing the graphics. I think it was just so used to the incredibly small screen and then seeing the graphical resolution increase because of the larger screen. So if you're playing the mobile version, if you're not going to be playing on the Nintendo Switch, I would strongly suggest getting it for a tablet. Even the Android users getting it for tablet, you should see a dramatic shift in opinion based from the people who are using it on mobile and the people who are playing it on tablet. I clearly do not have my button set up on this one the same way I do on everything else. And I think, is that a vehicle dealer across the street, guys? That looks like a vehicle dealer across the street. This is gonna be great. Look both ways before crossing. So, yes, it is. All right. So, what I really am looking forward to is playing CS4 on the tablet with a friend. I'm gonna be looking out for people on the Discord channel to play with as well. I'm curious to see how many times we're gonna have to go through updates to refine the game. Just because no game comes out completely finished. It always takes a form of testing from the player base, community. You know, the best way to stress test a product is to put it out into the public. So if it doesn't come out 100% excellent, that's no fault of anyone. That's just the way it goes. I mean, when you release anything into the public, if you haven't given the opportunity to stress test it, then you're not going to know what makes it crack. You know, what makes it tick and what makes it better. Let's see. I want to get a bulldozer out. Oh, that's another thing too. Let's talk about the new Liebherr pack that's coming out for Construction Simulator 1 for PC. And that's, from what I understand, we're getting a articulated like dump loader or wheel loader, something like a crawler loader. We're also getting another bulldozer, which is, I think it's a bigger bulldozer. I think it's a 756 instead of a 736. So I'm curious to see because I feel like this bulldozer is pretty big as it is. I actually like this bulldozer a lot. And we're getting an articulated dump truck from Liebherr, and I love the articulated dump trucks. These are some of my favorite machines to run. Anytime I got the dump truck and I can use this thing, I love to. Going back to CS4, it's going to be in a Canadian setting, which is interesting, only because I was assuming that we were going to get like a Southern America or an Asian setting, and not because of any bias, just kind of guessing. But the Canadian setting, I'm really going to enjoy. I like a lush forest. I like a small town setting. I know that we're going to be doing a lot of building up of infrastructure, land development jobs I'm looking forward to. That's another thing too. Land development, I would love to see more land development jobs. And doing land development jobs with friends is going to make it a lot more fun. Roadwork jobs, I would love to see longer roadwork jobs. And roadwork jobs with friends is going to be a lot more fun. Yeah, so back to the Liebherr pack. We're also getting another excavator. I think it's the LR 958, 938, 58. I have to look at it. But we're getting another excavator. another bulldozer, articulated bull loader bulldozer, and an articulated dump truck. So I'm gonna be really excited to play those machines. I'm gonna be more excited to kind of test out this this new Liebherr pack because of the bulldozer wheel loader combo that they have coming out. I think it's gonna be a really neat looking machine. This is our JCB. And if you can't tell, my gears are already spinning. I'm gonna be putting together one of the most workiest jobs. I'm always trying to make a job bigger than it can be by just adding an extra couple steps that are not necessary. Now we'll take the JCB. So land development jobs in Canada. I know some of us were speculating on whether or not we would see something as like logging, because it's Canada, maybe logging would be introduced. I don't know. I don't think logging would be introduced, but it's also not out of the question. Could be something that they introduce to great fan acclaim. I don't think logging is really in the construction part of Construction Simulator, but the main focus is machines. So because the main focus is the machines, I could maybe see logging being introduced. All right, so we got to switch over real quick to our bulldozer setting. I know we just switched this a second ago. So to excavate the foundation, but this foundation is not very level, so I want to level it out first before we start excavating. How come my nose is always itchy when I start streaming? I don't know if it's like dust. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna push the dirt towards the excavator's side here. We also have some soil straight ahead. I know we're on medium scope right now, just for getting this job done in a quick fashion. I don't want to spend 6 hours here. We're gonna push a lot of that extra soil. Joysticks, for Construction Simulator are great. What I would like to see, and since we have already seen the adaptation of CS2 and CS3 to the consoles, the CS4, I would like us to have the ability to use Bluetooth controllers, such as they sell it in the iStore and all that, for CS4. I'm not sure if that's going to be on release or something that we have to look for post-release, but I personally would get myself one of those phone or tablet controllers to use during my gameplay of CS4, because I don't want to use my thumb too much on the screen. I know back when I was playing on the mobile, my thumb would sometimes start to get hot or burned because of holding that screen for so long, and sometimes my finger too would slip off of the analog icon that's on the screen, and then I would lose control of whatever I was doing while I was making the video or while I was just doing the job. And it can be a little frustrating too when you're maybe doing something with the bulldozer and you have to finesse the soil and your thumb slips off and then you don't finesse the soil just right, and then everything's kind of screwed up from that point on. So having the controller option would be so awesome. I know back when CS2 was still on the mobile and CS3 was a distant dream, and when CS2 wasn't even discussed yet as a console game, they were trying to implement the controller function, the Bluetooth controller function. And this is back when I think iPhone 7 was still pretty new. They were trying to implement the controller, and something happened with Apple and Bluetooth functions. Something happened with Apple and Bluetooth functions, and uh, it kind of stopped all of that working for CS2. And I don't think they ever even tried to pick it back up with CS3 because they didn't get it to work for the mobiles, and they did get it to work for the consoles. So they didn't really go back to mobiles from that point on. And I remember talking to Apple. I was talking to a rep at Apple for the Bluetooth issues, and one of the engineers had stated, "Oh yeah, we're aware that there's a Bluetooth issue with update ISO 1.5 or 1.51 or whatever it was at the time. They knew that there was an issue with Bluetooth not functioning properly, and then of course I asked to speak to someone higher, and they put me in touch with the representative for like uh, community affairs or social affairs or someone who had more leverage to give me answers or to get to the bottom of what I was trying to ask. Which at the time it almost felt like I was trying to get answers as a journalist for Weltenbauer, because I had understood that they were having issues with the Bluetooth from the ISO update, and I wanted to get that resolved for them. So when this lady answered, she was very defensive and wouldn't actually admit to anything being wrong with their Bluetooth, even though the engineer had just stated, "Oh yeah, we're aware that our Bluetooth isn't functioning properly." And one of the examples he gave was like the OnStar. I mean, we're going way back. OnStar function for Bluetooth in like Ford 500s or Ford Tauruses, saying that it wasn't syncing right or something like that. She was flat out telling me, no, there's no issues at all. And the engineers were telling me, yes, there is an issue and we're aware of it, we're trying to fix it. But she was in charge of like PR for Apple, and clearly was not going to give someone she doesn't know information about something that I also wasn't, you know, fully scoped in. I certainly didn't know what the hell I was getting into, but I just wanted answers for the developer's sake. So if we do see CS4 come out with controller support, that's going to be awesome. I'm going to love that so much. If we don't see any controller support on launch for CS4, I won't be bummed. It's not a game changer. It's not a game breaker. But I would definitely champion pretty strongly to see them revisit that, having those controller support for the mobile games, for the mobile versions, um, Apple and Android both. And I understand that Nintendo Switch has their own controllers, so of course the games are already pre-mapped for that, unless of course one team's working on mobile and one team's working on Switch. Then I can see how they would be able to transfer that over. But I almost feel in my gut that that is one thing that they would have transferred over to the mobile games, knowing that controllers for mobile games are quite normal these days. And having that controller option for your mobile phone when you're playing Construction Simulator would be a huge quality of life improvement for players, new and old. And even for players who I know have even stated that the reason they don't play the mobile games, the reason they don't support the mobile games, is is because their thumbs are too fat or their fingers are too fat. It's like that's not really a reason to not play the game. You know, give it a shot or at least support it. Don't hate on it because your fingers are genetically bigger than the iPhone screen. One other thing too, to go on that. When CS3 came out, there was, of course, the introduction of cab view, but I don't believe that cab view had interior mirrors working, if I remember correctly. I don't believe they had interior mirrors working, but fortunately, it looks like, and at least for the Nintendo Switch, the mirrors do actually function in-game. Oh yeah, I'm like traffic violation. Heavy traffic violation right there. Didn't even have hazard lights on, nothing. Just don't care Larry then, basically. Let me pull this dump truck out of the street so that we're not causing fractions here. I would like to think that CS4 is going to have controller support. At this point, it would just have to be a normal. It would have to be normal for them to have that, and I don't think it's impossible for them to do it. The connection for co-op, and I know it's going to be two-player co-op. They made it clear, and very cheeky of them to only show like a split second of co-op play happening in the game. It was almost like they didn't want to tell, they were just kind of showing it. And I wonder what the internet connection is going to be like for internet play. How are you going to link up to someone in a lobby? Is it going to have to be like, you know, two people near each other in the same room? Or is it going to be internet connection based? Is it going to be cross-compatible from Android phones to iPhones? Will it? I don't think it'll be like Nintendo Switch to iPhone, though, of course. I don't think that'll be the case. I think Nintendo Switch will be Nintendo Switch, and might possibly even be that iPhone can only play the iPhone and Android can only play the Android. Just same thing with Xbox and PlayStation. You know, these are things that are not in Geltenbauer's power. It's not really their decision necessarily. It's more or less the large companies that are in charge of these platforms that would make these decisions. So we have done 23% of the excavation, and that's just removing the topsoil part, and cleaning this job site up. Looks good. Let's see where our straight down there. Okay. Let's go that way. Pretty much straight shot. One cool thing about Nintendo Switch players having the game is the ability to play it on your TV screen or something. I almost feel like having Nintendo Switch and having CS4 is better than having an Xbox and having CS1. I feel like it's going to be far more immersive for people, especially with the joysticks, the way that Nintendo Switch has the joystick set up. Yeah, we're doing it, guys. We're doing it. Oh, I did. get... Okay. We've seen, or at least I've seen some video of what looks like people using cardboard boxes to kind of create like I don't know, to create like an immersion. Like they create their own little like robot that they play, you know, a robot game in, or they create a car that they play their racing game in. I could see someone making like a dump truck and playing this game in it, or making an excavator and sticking the joysticks into something and using it like an excavator or a bulldozer. I would gush for that kind of immersion. And although I am using the joysticks to get my immersion, I don't think it's much more fun when you're actually having set up in a way that you get to feel like you're inside the machine. This I have it set up in a way that you can see what I'm doing, but it's not ergonomic. And it certainly doesn't relay the same kind of immersion that you would get from actually running the machine. We're almost... Yeah, here's the gravel plant. I'll be curious to see, too, Construction Simulator 4's city and the outskirts and the gravel plant. All of those things I'm very curious to see. And I like CS3. I felt like its 3 districts were pretty cool, each individually unique. Of course, with the small, what was it, Peckling Yamz, with its little fishing town, and then Neustein. How am I still getting that wrong? Neustein Industrial, and then there was Neustein City, Neustein proper, and Canada should be interesting. I'm expecting a small, sleepy town, and then maybe a more rural town, and then maybe a big city like Toronto kind of city. I don't know. I'm really curious. They didn't show us too much in the trailer, so there's still a lot left of the imagination. All right, come on. Get the soil stuck in there. Ah, okay. Step away for a second there. There we go. Now, not only coming out in the end of May, well, before that is in April, we have the Liebherr Pack coming out, which again has the new excavator, the new articulated dump truck, the bulldozer, which I'm curious to see, and the crawler loader. I think that's the word for it. It's such a unique machine, and it's funny that a lot of people have been asking for this machine, and I think for quite a while they've been asking for it, and now we're finally getting it. I kept reading it too, and I kept seeing, when I seen LR, I was like, oh, crawler crane. And then I seen crawler, and I was like, oh, crawler crane. And then no, it was not either of those. It was just the crawler loader and the new bulldozer. Oh, by the way, Bernie Butters. You don't know who Bernie Butters is? Then you need to get learned. Bernie Butters, I love it. I love seeing. Wow, this guy's almost as bad a driver as I am. AI traffic. I don't know that AI traffic will be any better in the upcoming CS4. Um, and I'm also curious to what kind of DLC upgrades we may see in CS4. Now that Weltenbauer has had substantial success with CS1 for PC, uh, and CS4 is coming out, and they've had a lot of time to fine-tune everything with CS2, CS3, and all the things that made those two games great. I can take a wild shot in the dark here and say that CS4 will equally have some really cool features, and like CS2, I believe that we'll have some DLC content as well. Um, I remember in CS2, which was really cool, and I had never seen that since then. They released that DLC contract of the Philharmonic and the Museum of Interesting Things, and I believe the supermarket, and then also the diner. And I think also introduced was Mack trucks. So Mack trucks were introduced. I can't recall if Kenworth came in standard or if Kenworth was introduced. I believe Kenworth was introduced as a DLC as well. I can't recall. I have to go way back in my memory bank, and I don't think I can make a deposit that far back or withdraw that far back. So CS3, I was expecting the same thing. I was really expecting to see some DLC updates, but it looks like when CS3 came out, they probably already maximized everything that they could with mobile games with CS3 because of interior view and because of how big the missions were. I mean, I think there was 3 bridge contracts that you could do, and people love those bridge contracts. So for them not to have an update for CS3, not having a DLC content update for CS3 is understandable if that is the case. And CS4, of course, I believe if they're starting off the way they're starting with it being already, very demanding, and it's understandable why it's demanding. If they're starting off that way, then it's quite possible that there will not be any DLC updates for CS4. If, however, if because they've now put a lot of time and focus into CS1 for the PC, they pretty much established what is going to be working for this game. Season 2's already been established. Content's already being produced for it. Um, they could probably take one team, and it seems like this is what they're doing. They could probably take one team and have them solely focused on the mobile game, creating content, updating, and then have another team solely focused on PC, bug fixes, content updating. I don't know. I would like to see it. I'm again, I'm very curious to see how it's gonna work with multiplayer or stakes. Thank goodness for stakes. I would love to see some more like immersion features that uh, give the player more agency in feeling like they're not being handheld through the game. I'm not talking about hardcore features that most people are really begging for. I'm talking about things like when I come to a job site and there's this yellow tape here. Um, that's great. That's great for new players. It's great for players who played for a while and need this, sometimes it can be quite challenging. I'm glad that the yellow tape can also get uh, removed. I don't know how I do it, but sometimes as the jobs go on, yellow tape disappears. I would like to see it where you don't have yellow tape, where you have the option to turn these features off. One thing, and if anyone's listening that is any importance at all, if we could please, and I've been begging since CS2, get rid of the giant phantom arrow. That thing, oh, please allow me to just turn it off. Turn off the giant phantom arrow. You know what I'm talking about. Giant phantom arrow, especially during land development jobs, it just kills it for me. Uh, if we could turn that off, great. If we could turn off the feature where we have the yellow tape and instead we have stakes down to show us where we need to dig, that would be cool too. Blue tape, of course, is necessary to tell people like what to get out of. What I didn't like about CS3, what made me play it less, was the gigantic red wall that would vibrate and flash your vehicles in this red. Uh, that I thought that that was like a bug or something that wasn't removed from the game. It seems like that red wall was in the game as a way to like indicate to players who aren't familiar, these vehicles need to be moved out of this area, and if you're in this area, then the next stage isn't going to start. I thought the blue tape was fair enough. I thought anything in the blue tape, you're not, outside the blue tape, it's not going to progress. But for some reason, there must have been some consensus that um, people were still confused, I guess, about how, I don't know. For whatever reason, the gigantic red flashing was still in CS3 on launch, and I thought that was only a beta feature. It was still in there, and it also wasn't something that I could turn off. So that is one thing that did hurt me with CS3. All right, so back to the the better things. If we could get rid of the yellow tape option, that'd be cool. It's not like a big deal, but I think it would be kind of cool. Just come onto a site, you see your stakes, that's where you gotta dig. Okay. I don't know if this would be something that people would like either, but on those stakes as you're digging, maybe it's white stake or a red line or something that tells you the depth that you need to dig so that you're not digging past that depth. And that way there's some indicator that you're, digging too far or not far enough. Alright, it looks like that's exactly it. So fortunately, there's also where the dirt doesn't dig any further. So if I'm digging too deep, look at, I can't dig anymore because that's it. That's rock. That's rubble. Let's turn this maybe sideways. Just have it like this so that I can actually dig and scoot sideways. And since I don't need that much stability, it's not going to be a big deal. I do like the feature with the yellow line on the side there in your speedometer as a way to tell if your bucket's full. If we have that in CS4, I won't be angry about that. It'll look pretty cool. Not that it'll look cool, I apologize. That will be a very convenient feature for people. Although currently in the mobile versions they have that green wheel that fills up. That's another thing that I wish that I could just turn off. Mainly because I like to have some version of immersion with the mobile games. Some version where I feel like I can turn off the HUD. Oh, another thing, I would love to be able to turn off the HUD. Something I've been asking for a while with the mobile games as well. So turning the HUD off, um, tool tips and things like that, because certainly are going to be a lot of players who are new, especially if we're going directly to Nintendo Switch, who are not familiar with how the game operates and the finer um, indicators. But for those who are veteran like myself, played all of them from beginning to today, the ability to turn those things off would actually make the game a lot more replayable. I'm curious too as the soundtrack is going to be for CS4. Oh yeah, hot take. Who cares about the soundtrack, right? No, I do. I love hearing that opening music. First time I heard it for CS2, I was like, what is this? It slaps. And then CS3, I thought it was going to be different, but when they brought it back, I was like, not angry. I actually liked that they tweaked it a little bit. And then CS1 came on, and I remember it was so quiet, and then it kind of crescendos into that opening theme. And it seems to be the theme now for Construction Sim. And that one had me like get goosebumps and banging my head. I'm like, yes. Ooh, careful. Kinda. I do like, and I think I've said it before, if you've watched any of my videos, you've heard me phrase it before. I do love the new soil mechanics. The fact that the soil can crush under the wheels definitely helps keep you from getting stuck on little mounds. The fact that you can manipulate the soil in the back of the dump truck gives players a little bit more of the role playing they can utilize. It also makes it easier for you when you're trying to load trucks and trucks are pretty full. You can find a way to move the soil around in there a little bit, make some more room. There certainly is a sweet spot when you're digging with the excavators to keep it from having the soil pile up and look really ugly. That seems to almost be like a 90, almost 90 degree, and then just scrape it across. The other updates that we're seeing for CS1 is going to be a stadium. We all assume it's a soccer stadium. I think we're pretty aware that that's what it's going to be because of the imagery that was shown in the Season 2's teaser trailer. Teaser post, whatever you want to call it. So we all have the consensus that it's going to be a soccer stadium. I think that's going to be humongous. I'm not sure how much digging that entails. I'm sure it entails a lot of cement and terrain work. We're also expecting another brand, and a lot of us are speculating on what brand that is. Some of us think that they know what it is. Others are kind of speculating, and then some are pretty much just wishing. There's a few people who are speculating something more realistic. I can't recall the name of it. There's others who are pretty positive that they know what it is. They think that it might be something with a V. And then there's also some who are in the same kind of court as the people who are uh, pretty positive it starts with a V, who are in the wish category, who wish that to be true, that it is something that starts with a V. And if that's the case, that will be exciting. I would love to see the machines that come out of those. I know there's a few major road construction jobs going on right now near where I live in Florida, and of course, lots of V machines out there. Some some D machines, though that would be really cool too. I would love to see Deere. I would love to see Deere. I would love to see Volvo, but we are all kind of like not sure. We are really not sure. Sonic, Sani was a complete blindside. JCB, another one that a lot of people were asking for, but almost like not everyone I want to say, but there was a big group of people who were hoping for JCB, and myself included. Although not as vocally as most. And then when we got it, we were really shocked. Happy to have it. Shocked. Sani was blindside. Didn't see that one coming, but I actually enjoy the Sani ones. No one knew that we would even like that stuff, and we ended up liking it. I know a lot of people were looking forward to mining truck, I suppose. That was the big one. People were looking for mining trucks. Me personally, no, not here to play mining simulator. If I was gonna do that, I'd play Gold Rush or something, or something else. But people wanted the mining truck, so they obliged and found a company that would help license out a mining truck. Although it's not the kind of mining truck that they were hoping for, still, beggars can't be choosers. And at least you got something to fulfill your role-playing fantasy mining truck. So with Volvo, I'm not sure if that is going to be something that we see. I cannot definitely say that's something that we're going to see come out of this newest update. I am probably in the bandwagon of people who wish that to be true, and not so much into the camp where we know it's true, because we simply don't know anything. The developers know what's going on, and they are, as always, very tight-lipped. And it could be a brand that we don't even think about. You know, we're always going to the biggest brands, Deere, Volvo. So these two are the biggest brands I think that are left that we want to see in construction sim. And with season 2 only teasing one new brand, I don't think that we'll see both of them in the same release. Let's go ahead and get this guy dumped. Yeah, I'm doing it. Oh God. Okay. love the big city. And a lot of people love the scenic kind of how they did this. That's why I'm curious to see what Canada will be like. A spaceport mission, the spaceport DLC was very cool as well. A new biome for us to explore and build in. That's why when it first came out, I was strongly under the assumption that it would be a new South American map or something like that. I'm losing my monitor here. think I was even going to slow down for that light. Come on, green. Green. Come on. Thank you. Sometimes I play with traffic off for a good reason. And although it can make games quite immersive, especially when there's heavy traffic like this, it can also be kind of annoying when there's heavy traffic like this. It's almost like all the traffic was generated around wherever my vehicle's at. And then we got a straggler in a minivan over there. Oh crap, I don't think I built the bridge over here yet, did I? Oh, thank God. I know there's a bridge somewhere that needs to be built, and it has not been built yet. So thankfully this one is built. I would have been really bummed if I had to turn around and go all the way around to get here. That's another cool thing about Construction Sim, and I know you guys who are watching, you're Construction Sim fans, you already know this stuff. It's not like it needs to be drilled. The fact that you can build up the world that you are working in is such a cool feature to me. And it's something that I would really like to see expounded on in the next game. And advanced construction is one of those things too that I really liked they brought into CS3. And advanced construction was like different stages to construction project. You didn't do the start to finish. You did whatever that mission required you to do, and then whatever you finished, that was it. So you might have done foundation construction, and then that's it. That's foundation's there. You're done with the mission. You can go do something else. Road construction and something else completely different, and that foundation will stay there and be incomplete until you do the next stages. I actually really enjoyed that. The only bummer to me was the lack of mission selection after that point. So you'd do like an advanced construction contract, you would do the foundation, and then in the jobs list, you would have the next stage to the advanced construction, and then you'd have like 6 road jobs. There was no other advanced construction missions open for you to do. You had to complete the other advanced construction job first, and you would only continue to get advanced construction jobs based on the one that you started. So I would like to see in CS4, and maybe this is something that they teased in the trailer, is being able to start an advanced construction job. Doing the advanced construction to a point where there's just a skeleton of a house, a frame, a foundation, whatever it may be. And then you can also go and accept other advanced construction jobs and only only do them to 70% complete, you know, only do so many advanced construction jobs so that you have multiple homes that are incomplete while you're building up the city. I think that would be really cool, a fun way to show the player as they're building their community the things that they started, the things that they haven't completed yet, and give them this real feeling that they're building up this town around themselves. advanced construction I thought was such a cool thing. Same with land development when that was brought in with CS2. And land development I feel like needs not an overhaul. I think land development needs more. I want to see bigger land development jobs. I love the fact that you can take this empty area and expand the city. In fact, I never even finished any of the land development jobs because all I wanted to do was strip the soil and lay a road down. And I loved doing that over and over again. I would start a whole new profile on CS2 just to get to that point where I could strip the soil down and build a road. And I know in CS3, they actually gave us the ability to replay missions, which I thought was really, really cool. Because there's some missions that you just really enjoy doing. Someone might really enjoy doing the gatekeeper mission where they have to, dig a giant pile of sand and get out of the road, and someone else might really enjoy building a bridge over and over and over again. You know, land development, I feel like, is such a great construction simulator like job, and advanced construction on top of that is really what makes construction simulators stand out among any other simulator game, giving you the ability to build up your town and kind of make it your own. With CS14, there was something that they have which was really cool. If you played CS14 and you got to the point where you could you paid the city for like contract rights or something, and it would allow you to take on jobs where you could build a home on a plot of land or a warehouse on a plot of land and choose what the home looked like, what the color of the walls were, what the roof color was. You could choose those things and build it. And in fact, when I had gotten to that point in CS14, I had done a few jobs like that, and I was having so much fun doing it that I had this idea that I was gonna do like all orange and black, or I was gonna do all blue homes, like the entire city was gonna be blue homes. And unfortunately for me, I had lost profile or something happened. My phone like got an update and I lost all my progress. Some 500 something hours was gone, and I unfortunately didn't get the opportunity to do that. But I never seen it again. Not in CS2 and not in CS3, and I don't believe it in this game either. And still to this day, there are people who played CS14 and still wish that they could do that. They would love to see that feature. I know there's only a few of you who have gotten that far, but I would love to see that return, where you could buy the keys to the city basically after beating the final mission, which was to build the city hall, which in itself was a gigantic contract. Then you could go back and pretty much choose the casting of the buildings, what they looked like, and you know, you would have to first you'd have to buy the plot of land, and then you would have to uh, build on that plot of land. So with land development, a lot of room for there's a lot of room for some really cool things that they can do with it. And with advanced construction in tandem with that, we could see some really cool features in the future for CS Construction Simulator, CS4 included. I don't think that it would be too late for them to add some features like that into CS4, such as longer road development contracts, bigger land development contracts that are twice as long. Highway construction, I know, is something that people have been begging for. When we talk about roadworks, there are some of us who love to do stripping and laying of asphalt, and then there's a lot of us who just hate it. But when we talk about road construction, what we really mean is the extreme highway work that you see, where you're using photo graders and you're using bulldozers and wheel loaders, and you're digging out trenches for canal works, and those are the kind of road jobs we're looking for, where it takes 4 people to, get all the excavation done in a coordinated way, and it takes bulldozers to finesse the soil and lay the gravel down to make a highway overpass. That's the kind of road construction we're looking for, and I would love to see that with advanced construction and land development in tandem with the old Construction Simulator 2014's contract where you can buy land and build homes on it. So we're done now with the excavation of this contract, which to me is the best part of any contract, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. So what I'm going to do now is get this guy out of the way for a moment. Some of my new favorite machines are definitely the JCB, the Sani, definitely Sani, wheel loader, excavators as well, love those. But the JCB wheel loader grew on me pretty quick, but after seeing the Sani wheel loader, I don't know. I love how rugged it looks. I don't care who the company is or where they're from, yada yada. The machine didn't choose its demographics or anything like that. It just, the machine is the machine, and it's a beautiful piece. The designer of the machine, whoever came together and created the design of the machine, the way it looks, I want to say thank you. That's so beautiful. And the people behind the models, who are creating the models for this game, thank you as well. It takes a lot of work to make this stuff happen. Everyone really involved with Construction Simulator to make this game as beautiful as you guys did, and to make it run the way you did, and to continually update the game with meaningful patches and ninja patches, talking about things that we didn't really see coming, things that we wanted, didn't really realize we wanted, or things that we needed, maybe forgot that we needed. Thank you guys for really keeping up with the game and putting your heart into this, not just because you guys are game developers and you're passionate about it, but because you're passionate about what you're creating, and the construction community that's passionate about enjoying your machines, enjoying your guys' work. These are the people who are actually benefiting the most. I know there's farming sim people out there who are, die-hard farm sim people or farm sims, and they only play farm sim because it has mods and because it has bigger, more things to do, and maybe they secretly in a bleak room make fun of construction sim and its shortcomings. But I would say that you don't realize that Farm Sim is created on its own engine, so it has the ability to have mods without the incredibly difficult task of actually creating a mod system that works for players to implement into the Unity engine. And also, there's a lot of Farm Sim players who are Farm Sim players solely to play with construction machines, and I think that says a lot as well, because they're playing a farming game to play mods of construction machines because they like the construction machines. I personally don't play farming sim because I'm not really into farming, although there's nothing wrong with that. I think the game is incredible for what it has to offer. I know I played about 5 minutes of Farm Sim 19 on the Xbox, and I only say 5 minutes because I just had to see what the hype was about. I like that the machines can operate themselves. There's definitely a deep sense of management that goes into operating your farm and your company, and there's certainly a lot of replayability. But the game that has stole my heart from the beginning on the mobile of all places was Construction Simulator, and this is the game that will, I see eventually trumping Farming Simulator in the construction aspect of things. Farming Simulator does farming well. Construction Simulator will be the apex of construction simming games. A lot of people are talking about like some ore game. I don't know, Use Your Ore or All That Ore or something like that. And same with Gold Rush or something. You know, there's some people who are ranting and raving about Gold Rush, but in the end of the day, those games don't hold a candle. They don't hold a flame to the candle of construction sim. They come close in some ways. They do better in other things, but there's just nothing that compares to one, the level of dedication by the developers to this game, and two, the community behind this game that is fervently respecting and appreciating the game and the people who are behind it, people who are making it. So, to you guys, I say thank you. To all the viewers, I say thank you for the support. I mean, I really just do this because I'm passionate about this game and I want to share it with you guys. And I love playing with some friends on this, but today I want to do it solo and enjoy the machines and talk about the new CS4 coming out at the end of May, which I think is fitting. It's around my birthday, so why not? Why wouldn't it come around that time? And I really look forward to actually playing it with some of the guys as well, and as well getting my brothers into it. My goodness, I've been wanting to get them to play construction with me since CS14. So, anyways, this is Grey Wolf from Grove Construction. I'm going to take it from here and sign out, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye. See you later.